What's up, guys? Welcome back to yet another riveting episode here on the Avion Awesome channel. Today I want to talk about hooking the Mr. Buddy up to a full-size propane tank. So first of all, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this stuff. I think it's a relatively simple process, but I have had a couple of people ask me on both Instagram and Facebook, how's that system working out? How easy was it to do? What kind of runtime can you expect out of a traditional gas propane tank, that type of thing. But what I want you to keep in mind is that I fully realize that there are other heating solutions, other heating options out there. I am also fully aware of the risks of, using propane in a camper. I just want to let you all know that me personally, I don't fear it. I'm not scared of it. I know that a lot of people have a lot of precautions. They're always willing to let me know just how dangerous this, that, or the other is. And I just want to let you know that I'm well researched, so I always try to educate myself before I do anything. So without further ado, I appreciate all the concern. I really do. I really appreciate it. You guys are so nice to me, some of you. But otherwise, I'm okay. I'm going to be just fine. And most likely you guys will as well. So let's hop right over here and find out just exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so this is my setup. This is my Mr. Heater Portable Buddy. This is a propane heater. Traditionally, you would use a 1 pound propane bottle and you would put it right here in this side compartment. Most of you have seen these types of bottles in your local Walmarts, probably your Sam's Club. Just about any hiking section will have these types of bottles. They're really super convenient when you're going traditional style camping, right? They're relatively lightweight. I know that a lot of people have moved on from these and have gone to a more lightweight, especially if you're a backpacker, to the jet boil style stoves, maybe even alcohol stoves, stuff like that. But for the most part, these are pretty daggone convenient. You can find them just about anywhere. But the same can be said about the 20-pound propane tanks as well. So like I said, traditionally you would use this and you would put that right there in that compartment, and it just simply screws up into this. And once you hear it kind of go psst, and you know that the needle inside of the regulator has gone deep enough into the propane tank that it's going to start feeding into the heater itself. But with this system, we're essentially replacing the 1 pound propane tank for a 20 pound propane tank, mainly for convenience. It doesn't really have a whole lot to do with anything wrong with the 1 pound propane tanks at all, other than you have to swap them out roughly every 5 hours. And for most people, it just becomes a bit labor intensive, which I don't know how labor intensive it can be, but I mean, it does get to be a bit of a nuisance, always having to go and swap out those green propane bottles. Not to mention, a lot of people, they don't know how to refill these, so they just end up throwing them away, which just means that we end up with more stuff in a landfill somewhere that doesn't need to be there. These are metal tanks, and they can be recycled too. They actually sell a refill connector that you would connect to a traditional 20 pound propane tank that you can then screw this onto, and you can transfer extra LP from a big tank to a smaller tank. If you guys are interested in that, I'll leave links to it down in the description box below if you happen to want to go that route. I chose this route. This route basically involves a fuel line filter, and this is roughly $8.50 or so on Amazon. I did happen to find this thing at my local Rural King, and they wanted about 1/3 the price more for it, so it was like $12.50 or something. So again, Amazon wins again as far as I'm concerned. Of course, most of us already have 20 pound or 30 pound propane bottles on tap. Usually a camper will have at least 2 of them, and I ended up getting this steel braided propane line hose with a grill quick connect on one side and the 1 pound propane bottle connector on this side. This is just about as simple as you can get. You buy the heater, you buy the fuel filter, because there will be some oil in some of these hoses. I've heard that Mr. Heater has started to create some propane lines now that don't have that same oily process. So you could effectively, get rid of the fuel filter itself, but I just went on ahead and put it on there as a precaution. It's not that I think that anything's going to happen. It's just like, it's $8. Just go ahead and throw it on there. This is a steel braided hose. I just figured that it would be a little bit more durable over the long term, so I don't know that it has necessarily any advantages or disadvantages over the Mr. Heater style line, but I figured that if nothing else, it's $15, roughly $10 cheaper than the Mr. Heater one. The quick connect screw here on the tank was really convenient, and like I said, it went directly to a 1 pound propane bottle style screw in right here on this end. It was as easy as it possibly could be. Got the heater, got the fuel filter, got the line, already had the tank, done. So I want to be as transparent with you all as possible. I use this indoors. Again, I recognize all of the risks involved in doing that, but I mean, we do a lot of stuff with propane gas. People cook with propane inside their house all the time. I'm just not that worried about it. I appreciate your concern. This is how I'm doing it. You're more than welcome to do however you want. Now, if you want to go a step extra above and beyond this, you could put a propane gauge. I mean, they're just not all that, informative. I mean, you have this huge amount of gauge that says that the tank is full, and then as soon as it goes into the sort of like, you might want to change or whatever, you pretty much already have to change it by the time it gets to that. So, when this thing goes out, I know to change it. So honestly, I just don't even mess with it. This is the reason why I wanted to go with this system as opposed to any other one, okay? When I ripped the furnace out of my camper, which I did on purpose, I knew for a fact that I did not want a furnace. Most times they're extremely expensive and they just don't do very well. They break down all the time, and most people just don't know how to work on them. And even if you do know how to work on them, most people are not going to have like a spare circuit board or an ignition board, or they're just not going to have the mechanical skill or the inclination to mess with them. So I didn't want to mess with them. This is a system that I have access to. I can troubleshoot as much as possible. There's as few moving parts on this thing as you could possibly want, which effectively means there are no moving parts other than twisting that nozzle. And I have looked at other heating options. I've looked at the Chinese diesel heaters, which I think are great for a drier heat. And I've also looked at other style heating options like electric. I have electric space heaters whenever I'm connected to shore power. But the main point is that I wanted a system that was as non-complicated as possible, because the more you simplify, the more you cut down on the potential hazards as far as, can I work on it? Am I skilled enough to work on it? What if it breaks down? Will I have access to parts? Will I be able to go to any big box store like Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot? Will I be able to find the stuff that I'm looking for? And the short answer is no. As of right now, no one carries Chinese diesel heater parts. As of right now, very few places carry RV furnaces. Very few places work on RV furnaces. You would have to find an RV dealership, and if you're in the middle of nowhere and you're boondocking and all of a sudden your furnace goes out, you're up shit creek without a paddle. So like I said, I wanted to try and keep my system as simplified as possible. There's no moving parts here other than turning the knob. There's no moving parts from the connection point to this point, and there's no moving parts except for here, turning the knob. Here's what I do, and I'm just going to keep it super simple. I turn this valve until, and I mean most of the time it's only about a quarter of a turn that I need, until I hear the gas line fill up with gas. You can almost hear it, and you can watch your cable. It will kindly jerk a little bit when the pressure fills up, and you'll know that you're good. Don't turn it any further than that. Don't try and blast this thing with a full-on amount of propane pressure. It's completely unnecessary. I've ran this thing for probably 24 total hours now with just the quarter turn. It fired up and it ran absolutely perfect. Now, if you want to make sure that you don't have any type of propane smell inside your camper over the long run, especially after you turn this thing off, you can't just swap this thing to off when you're done with it. All right? You're still going to have gas pressurized in this line. So when you're ready to be done with it, here's what I do. First of all, you want to close your valve off. Make sure that this thing is not feeding any more gas into your line. And then either leave this thing on its low setting or high setting, whatever you had it on. Just leave it on until it completely burns off all the gas left over in the line. Or if you're like me, I just turn it on the pilot light and let it slow burn until all the gas is out. And then it just kind of goes off naturally. At least that way, if you happen to be leaving fairly soon, you don't have to worry about, oh God, the heater is still on. Well, no, it's not on, just the pilot light. So that's all I've got for you all today. I hope that it was helpful to some of you. I hope that I answered any questions that I had received on my end. But if you guys happen to have any other questions, I'm more than happy to try and answer them for you. I think I was pretty thorough, but if I wasn't, I'm always available. At any rate, guys, thanks again so much for watching yet another riveting episode here on the Avion Awesome channel. I'm your host, Mark Puckett, and I'm going to see you guys again on the next one. Peace.